Welcome to the Channel Surfers, a podcast for channel managers, channel executives to learn how to do their job better and grow their career. I'm John McCabe. I am the co-host along with my very good friend, Jeff Lennon. How you doing, Jeff?
John, I'm doing fantastic, man. As always, this is the highlight of my weekend days when I get to jump on here and talk about the channel, the industry, the changes, the nuances, the AI.
AI is
But I'm doing,
everywhere, Jeff. AI is everywhere. And that's the topic of our show today. But, I don't think execution and clarity is really, a part of that. I think there's a lot of confusion, a lot of fear in
yeah,
AI. I mean, I don't know how many people I talk to, and they're like, I don't know if I really want to dive into that because it might take my job away. I think today we're going to talk about that because I don't think
yeah.
it's something to be afraid of.
Well, and look, I just posted something on Friday, right? A snippet from the Rob Cohen
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
episode. Yeah, I think it was episode 30, 33, something. I think it was 30. Anyway, when I asked him, like, hey, what could somebody do, right? What could they be doing to be better at their job, be better with their partners, their customer, like what could they be doing? And it was interesting, right? And this is what, 6 months ago?
Mm-hmm.
It's like, get AI literate.
Yes, I love that quote.
You got to get literate, understand where it's going to fit. He said something that I thought was so profound, and I'll just give him another shout out here. But you're either going to use AI to help with the effectiveness and the efficiency and your
Mm-hmm.
performance of your job, or you're going to be working with a company that needs AI to help with the effectiveness, the performance, and efficiency of their their
Sure.
company, so to speak.
Sure. I totally agree with that statement.
Figure it out, man,
Yeah.
but don't sit on the sidelines,
Mm-mm.
that's my opinion.
Well, even Mitch Simon, when we had him on our show, the CEO of his company said, "Don't ignore it, embrace it, learn it. If you aren't, then maybe this is the right company for you because we're all in on AI, right?"
Yep.
And Mitch, I think, is getting into it. He's not well versed or well educated enough to be okay with AI, but he's getting there, right? So today we want to talk about it. Talk about why channel should really embrace it. From chatbots to slide decks to buzzwords. AI is really helping with workflow simplification,
Yeah.
decision acceleration. That's a big one. Signal amplification, and I think another really important thing to think about is time management and how it saves you as a channel executive time and how it can help you save time.
Absolutely. Well, here's the other thing. That last bullet, right? The that you mentioned,
Signal amplification.
the amplification, right? I also think it helps with signal clarity,
Mm.
right? Because the one of the my belief for the past 3 years now, playing with it, at least 2.5, 3 years. It's got to be 3 years. Holy macaroni!
Mm.
But it is about the clarity, because AI is really, really good at helping take and compile and kind of compress and understand large data
Hmm.
sets
Yeah.
back to you, right? So I think with that signal amplification as well as clarity, I think that's super key. I do see your ability to manage better. I mean, that's what Rob was saying. It's like it's going to help you be more efficient, because let's
Sure. Yeah.
face it, shit's not getting slower, people.
Mm-mm.
It is sped up. And you mentioned something before we jumped on about the market again, and I thought I thought the market was getting better, and I think it is in a way, but I also think that there's another kind of shift or pivot that's happening. So if you're not using AI, and we'll kind of dive into some of these things, some of the tools you're using. I mean, we're part of this roundtable group, and I think we had Patrick on, and I think some of the stuff he's doing is just awesome. And I'm kind of taking pieces from different people. I'll share this. I'll digress for a second. You were kind of my guardrail this week. So just so everybody's aware, John kind of was like, Jeff, can I say something and be real for a minute? I was like, yeah, man, absolutely. He goes, you need to like tone down the amount of shit that you're looking at and what you're playing with, because
You were like sitting in a pile of leaves, like a giant pile of leaves, and you're overwhelmed with the amount of leaves you have to comb through. It's I think, but here's the thing, for the audience's knowledge, Jeff has absorbed so much information around AI and the right tools to use in our business, and just from everyday help that he needs, and even in some outside of business needs that he has around life happening. But he's very good at that, and really I appreciate that and admire it. But I think there comes a
Dangerous,
time
man.
you got to hone in on what's the right tool, right?
Exactly. Well, it gets dangerous, right? And
Yeah.
to your point, what did I say to you? I go, dude, I'm with you. Like I was feeling that, for what it's worth, that sense of overwhelm, because
Hmm.
look, AI should be helping you do things better, faster, more efficient, increase productivity, performance, blah, 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 right? All those great things. But at the time that you need to invest in reality to understand what it can do and where it can lean in,
Yep.
it can take you down a rabbit hole. And to your point, I was trying to look at different things and how would these work together. And I have leaned into a lot of applications, over the last 2 years. And since then, I'm actually now kind of moving. This is weird, man. It's like, and I think a lot of it has to do with the vibe coding stuff, and AI is driving this.
Mm.
An application that I've been using fairly religiously for over a year,
Mhm.
right? Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm in the process of kind of, and I don't want to throw Gammon on the bus, but I'm kind of in the process of like leaning away from it because it
Mhm.
has it has some limitations, and there's things that you would like to do when you're creating documents, and it has some cool things you can do. Don't get me wrong, but for example, with like doing PowerPoints and doing productivity or data sheets and things
Mhm,
like
mhm.
that, as we lean into our fractional business and help companies, I want to, we're creating some of those things on the fly. Like we're like a one man show, marketing, execution, channel, go to market plan. But what I found was, I'm using Claude Desktop, and they have I have a plugin, and I basically started looking at it, and I saw an article, I read it, I was like, wow, so it works with PowerPoint. Blew my mind.
Hmm.
Exactly what I'm doing. And you can actually, and then I learned that I can even build the PowerPoint in Claude now, because it actually knows, our style, our brand, our colors, the
Mhm.
fonts. I mean, it's almost freaky that it's helping me build exactly what I want in the template that I need it in, so that we can have a conversation. And don't get me wrong, I'm not a death by PowerPoint guy by any stretch. I keep it down to 50, 60 slides all the time.
I'm a
But
5
no,
to 10 slide guy.
yeah, but I mean, but it's about, I love to have them as a backdrop, as a conversation,
Yeah.
and maybe one or two as kind of a leave behind. But the point is being able to create those things. I think the biggest nuance, John, and just kind of leaning into where AI has just been incredible, is being able to help with that signal amplification and
Mhm.
signal
Yeah,
quality,
for
and
sure.
that workflow to get that. The outreach, leveraging, the AI, different AI applications. And I tell everybody, man,
Yeah.
take your time. By the way, I believe in the 3P framework. I kind of came up with that. That's what I call it. Somebody else will probably steal it, but that's fine, because it's so hard to trademark that. I tried. I looked at it. I'm not gonna lie. But the 3Ps, and anybody that has ever worked with me knows I love the power of three. So you got basically people, permissions, and privacy. And the
Yeah.
privacy is your data.
Mhm.
So who's using what? So you understand who's supposed to be using it, because it's going to feed back to what they're doing and how they do what they do. The permissions that they have to get access to things. So what are you giving that app, access to? And then the privacy, the data. Know what it's connecting to, know
Yeah.
what it's pulling up, know what it's pushing out. So if you follow that 3P framework with guardrails, it'll help you. I mean, it'll help it, because security, AI is not going to eliminate security.
Mm-mm.
Going to, first of all, it can enhance it, but it's also become its own threat vector,
Mhm.
right? Because you have two sides here. I'm going off on a tangent. I'm sorry, but you got these two sides of AI, and it's like, one, threat actors are using it to do better, more coordinated phishing, smishing. So they're coming at you with emails and texts and phone calls, and then you need to have AI over here to help you with your job and everything, but you also need it to help you make sure that that stuff's not getting through.
Oh,
So,
yeah,
so
for
it's
sure. For sure.
it's an interesting dynamic. But
Yeah.
anyway,
All right. Well, let's talk about the real AI gap, and I'll let you complete this list. Most teams struggle because what?
oof. Well, first of all, there's usually no ownership. of who's trying to drive it. I think, well, there's too many tools. There's too many tools that you could use. And a lot of them are building AI. I think Salesforce is kind of showing the pivot right now, but I think there's too many tools. I talked about the 3P framework. There needs to be a level of ownership to who's responsible for the use of it. And basically, how do you prioritize what you're going to do with it? And I think the big one for me was is the endless POCs and testing, because it's tough. Because I'm just saying, like, you and I looked at a couple different things together, because it's like, hey, let's get a quick demo. We get a demo and you're like, okay,
that's good. We like that, and then you see the next one. You're like, ooh, that's even better. They do this different,
I mean, I don't want to throw these, we want to become an affiliate of this one tool, but what we saw them doing and how they were working with LinkedIn was lights out, man. It was so cool. It's not a cheap solution, right? But at the end of the day, if you're moving something at scale, we'd love to have a conversation and maybe see if it's something that works for you. But my point is, I think there's a lot of tools out there. There's a lot of AI being pushed and embedded. I know people talk about Copilot with Microsoft, and it's good and it's bad, and it's got some really, I've seen it do some really interesting things.
Right.
And then I've not seen it do the things that I would hope it would do. But I think that's one. So you've got your main AI engines, and then you've got just this plethora of apps. I'll do a little plug for the thing that we're doing on the side. The PartnerBot.ai is an app specifically for the tactical execution for a channel person in the field to help them better do their job, better communicate. And, whether it's, figuring out how to work better with a partner or an ecosystem or an alliance or technology, helping to, figure out just simply what could we be doing better in a QBR, and how do we track things better in a QBR? And I know a lot of people say, we got a deck for that. We got this. How are you managing that on a daily basis? How do you make sure that those things that you talked about in your QBR, you're managing
and measuring them,
weekly basis kind of thing. So
I think the thing about with PartnerBot.ai, if you're listening, when we started out, we didn't know what the heck we were doing, and I felt like the knowledge we've developed over 20 plus years in sales and channel, we created this app to help people that were in that position, or starting out and not knowing how to do the job, and ask a question and get an answer instantly, right? But we've expanded it to have, a better together story generator, if you're working in alliances, or a QBR generator. You go through some screens, answer some questions, and you have a PowerPoint ready to go to a meeting with your partner to, showcase the last quarter and where there, needs to be help, where there's gaps, where there's, work to be done. Right. So like AI has helped us develop a tool that can, help you, our audience, who's just starting out and wants to understand how to utilize tools to make yourself better. Listen, if you're using a tool and it makes you look good in front of your management, so be it. It's helping you to get further ahead with your partners, which we've talked about so much with Nearbound and everything that we've discussed in our shows. But if you could utilize tools that help you do that, that's why we're here talking today, right? So what are some of the other gaps that you see?
Well, if I think about the whole gap issue, John, I mean, it comes down to this, it's being able to measure the difference between the complexity of something and the criticality of the value that it's going to drive, right? So in that matrix, right? We talked about, even having kind of a checklist of, 8 to 10 questions to understand, how simple is this to use and deploy? Are we able to have measurable outcomes and results? What are the metrics that we're going to be hopefully seeing from this, and how does it help us? And how is it aligned to the urgency of our business and the problem that it's solving? Those 3 things, I think, are critical to understanding, hey, where do I need to lean into this, right? We did, I think, a 2-part episode last year where we talked about, performance, productivity, efficiency, scaling, those types of things. They're all important, but this is a little bit more focused, where it's like, because it is everywhere. So, right, as you just mentioned, with PartnerBot or even other applications that I've seen, people are trying to help people. Hey, how do I help you do your job better? what is the problem we're solving, right? So
Yep.
can it help you automate, like if you're doing onboarding, right? Can it help you automate partner kits or doing better enablement, tracking? We talk a lot about doing some types of certifications and then scoring that, but AI can actually help you create those lists in real time,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
By the way, it's tough because now you're like, oh, I'm going to quiz people. Okay, that's great. Where I've seen it, is for us, right, is how do you help people do better forecasting? How do you drive
Mm-hmm.
better internally and externally? One of my favorite things that I learned, 20, 25, 26 years ago was there's two types of customers: internal customer, external customer. So all my internal customers are all my peers, my associates, people in marketing, operations. They're my internal customers. Then you have
Right.
external, which is everybody else. Treat everybody like a customer, but being able to figure out that alignment and how do you simplify getting the information back to them, right? Being responsive. I'll
Mm-hmm.
say the email one is probably my favorite. Being able to understand my emails that are coming in, helping me prioritize them, and understanding my voice. I shared that. It is super, super helpful. It has shaved some time that I would have spent, figuring out my calendar, figuring out this thing. So anyway, that's where I see AI working. I've talked about it a couple times. Um, from
What about in
and I'll
forecasting? How do you see AI in forecasting?
Well, with the forecasting, right? It's going to crunch a lot of data. So if it's you're managing the communications that you've had and you're looking at, what the size of the deal is, who's the partner, what the meetings that we've had, where are we in the process? Are you using a MEDDIC process, Mantra process, force management? I don't care. But you can actually have it help you wait. Where are we? Did we get to the thing that we thought we were going to get to, right? Like
Mm-hmm.
now, are we able to show the required capabilities to that client? Does the client understand, where the business outcomes are going to impact? Like, have we done all that? And do we have proof back? And do we have the alignment to all the right group? Like, so it's going to help you with your partner signals. It's going to help you with
Mm-hmm.
your customer signals.
Yeah. Yeah.
I found this super. I'll just throw this nugget out there. I've been doing it with a lot of the note takers, and there's some that are better than others.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for sure.
But after it takes the notes, I basically have asked it, I need more details about the action items, the deliverables, the next steps, and also give me the sentiment of the call. And what it does,
Interesting.
it was bizarre. It would come back and say, oh, Jeff, you were this, 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 and this person was this, this, this. It helped, like, because through the conversation, and if somebody's, it confirms whether did I miss any signals. I hate to say it,
Yeah. Yeah.
like there's a lot of caution in this in so and so's voice with respect to blah blah blah. And I'm thinking,
I think I know that meeting.
yeah, like, what? Okay, let me make sure I address that, because I didn't take it as it was a bad, like, super critical, but if it picked up on it, okay, because maybe there were two or three times that it was mentioned subtly or something. I don't know. But
Mm,
it helps you be aware of the conversation. I always tell people, listen with the intent to understand, not to answer.
I know. That's
Super
a
hard
big
to
one
do.
for you. Yeah. So what
But
about like something that's near and dear to my heart is AI and enablement. And I've discovered a really great way to do that through a PRM tool called Intro, which we've had the CEO of the company on twice. It's just an amazing tool. You could build an enablement program full, complete with quizzes and certifications. But I think AI is critical in field enablement because, like, what we do, we'll take a notebook LLM and build a profile on a company we want to learn more about. We can actually create some field enablement, infographic, PowerPoint, whatever you want through that tool. And, we can go out and, educate our partners on what we're doing, right? But what do you feel about the field enablement piece?
I think you're spot on. And you just named a couple of things, right? I mean, I think Notebook LM is a hidden gem to learn, understand anything
Yeah.
fairly rapidly. There was a feature in there that I didn't even realize. And somebody had posted something and I had to go back and look at it. I was like, oh, I didn't even think of that. So within Notebook LM, you put enough, and by the way, it's think of it like a closed search model for people who aren't familiar with it.
Mm-hmm.
You put all the data in and then you basically surface that data. You can do a presentation, you can do
Yep.
infographics, but
Yep.
you can also do an audio. It does a podcast and it talks about it. And I was like,
It's
really?
crazy.
That's brilliant. And I thought, but I do a podcast. I don't want to. So, but it does. It helps you learn. So I think Notebook LM is huge. I love the enablement piece. Like I said, I mentioned Gamma. I'm using Gamma to put together very quick, fast, summary documents that are client ready, right? So that I can basically send to people, download it, boom, PDF, and now they have something in minutes.
Mm-hmm.
I started using it and I mentioned earlier, I was using, I'm playing around with Claude and PowerPoint, but what I do like about Gamma is the fact that I can do the presentation and it's right there. And I send, we're doing it. When we're done, I just send them the link so they can see
You
it.
have the URL that you can send to them. It's really cool.
It's fantastic. But I do think, look, and it also helps with, like you said, with Notebook, helping me understand, create competitive battle cards.
Yep.
Where the positioning is, real-time injection handling to help somebody figure out like, well, what are the three things that are bothering you with this? What are the challenges? And being able to understand that, I hate saying you want to fix it right away, but the data could potentially be there. But I also digress. It's going to come back to the trust that you put into the process for what it's worth.
And it just helps, you have knowledge that you could feed it, but it also helps you kind of tie together the strategic relationship or the strategic discussion that you're going to have with a partner. Again, for those of you out there that are apprehensive about AI, we're telling you that these are tools that are really helpful. They're not taking your job; they're making you better, right? They're helping you go in and be more relevant and educated and more strategic with your partners.
Well, it gives you the opportunity to be human. I think Rob said that in his thing, like it's there to enhance what you're doing,
Mm-hmm.
right? And just to add to that, I didn't mean to cut you off, but like with the enablement piece, it's also going to help you to understand where during the enablement process, why things aren't maybe not moving, right?
Mm-hmm.
Where there's friction in that process, right?
Right.
Trying to move and get velocity. And if there's friction in things, I used to love that back. Oh gosh, I'm dating myself. Probably in the like 2012, 13 area. It's like, it's a frictionless integration. I was like,
oh God, yeah. Remember having to sell that? Or the agent's really small. It's a small file size. You don't worry about it. Yeah. I love that.
You're never gonna see it,
Yeah. All right, let's kind of switch gears here. What about guardrails and governance? What is AI? What does AI create without guardrails?
Well, again, the 3P framework is the guardrail, right? Understanding the people, the permissions, and the privacy. Can't say it enough. And what you're going to get out of that is the assurance that you're doing the right thing. So guardrails help you better if you follow that 3P framework.
Mm-hmm.
And if you need to know more about it, I'll put something here. You can reach out to me and I'll share it with you. But basically the guardrails help you to understand the risk, manage the risk.
Yeah.
Right. It helps you to align the messaging that you're actually articulating out to people. A big one that I found super helpful is the legal exposure that it may give you if you're not careful when you're doing things. And then this one I found interesting because I'm guilty of it, is the brand drift. Like all of a sudden you start to track and well, because everybody wants to follow, the shiny dime, so to speak. And ooh, look at that, squirrel. And right, you're off on a tangent. So I think, look, having the ability to develop, and I'll just share some of the nuances, right? Prompt governance, ensuring, in that 3P framework that you have solid data boundaries of where, what, and how things are touched. You also figure out from a people permission perspective, right, what the execution ownership looks like, who's actually, right, who's actually doing what, and who has the ownership of that. And then, again, just being able to do those things and prioritize them so that you have a consistent, simple, easy, repeatable process, and the guardrail is there to keep you on the road, right? I mean, that's what it is, because let's face it, the governance around data is a real thing, and there's enough, and by the way, if your data has PII, boom, flag has to go up like, hey, here's what we can do. Here's what we can't do.
Yeah,
Here's what has to be locked down, or we have to move this, like just understanding those things. And
sure.
I don't think enough people take that into consideration. I've seen people diving into apps and not thinking about that. And I just think it's something that, you need to pause and just
For sure.
because it'll come
I,
back and bite you. Yeah. You know what? Pretty hard.
I think you can't do anything without guardrails. You got to have, just got to be careful, especially if you're in a corporate environment. Look, for those of you out there listening, don't do anything that isn't, that isn't in policy for your company from an application standpoint. Be smart about it. Jeff and I use a couple tools. One of them is called Marbleism, and I've recommended to people that I know who are trying to get better leads and get organized and do all the things that Marbleism can help you with. But they go to their company to create a social media post or they want to connect to their calendar, and the corporate policy says,
Can't do it.
So you just got to be really careful and don't,
Yeah.
Do anything outside of the guardrails because it could end up hurting you. But certainly these tools are very, very valuable. If your company can approve letting you connect to Marbleism, great application to use for time management and organization and lead gen and different things that you might need it for. Social
No,
media.
no. Well, like there's a tool again, and when I was going through my quest, and you kind of, smacked me in the side of the head. There's a tool called Demi, which actually helps you take back your inbox because that's specifically what it
Right.
does.
That's another big thing. Yep.
Right. There's other tools that I've had. Sorry to lean back, but there's other tools that I've used, AI tools for a while, like Flicky and Pictory around the video and stuff like that. And as our podcasting tool got better, I'm finding myself, I don't really need these other tools anymore, which that's the other convergence that's happening is with AI, a lot more tools and platforms are starting to add in capabilities that historically would have had to go to another offshoot application, right? A third party, but they're now adding in some of those things. So, even doing like our shorts, I was using, Pictory for some and Flicky. And it was, I don't want to complain, but it was a bit of they say it's easier and it is, but it isn't because you have to take the time to go in and do it. And so I timed myself a couple times using it. And I'm telling you, when our podcasting tool introduced the fact that I could do shorts, I tried it. And sadly, it was about a quarter of the time.
I know. I remember you were like, it was like an epiphany. Like, oh my God, I could do all this, cut my time.
And that's the biggest misnomer, I think, with AI is, it will save you time, but there needs to be somewhat of an investment to learn what it does, how it does what it does. But then once you get it, man, there's another tool that I've been playing with called Whisper for note taking.
Oh yeah. I've seen that one. Yeah.
It's really weird, man. Like I find I'm not typing as much. I'm talking. Imagine that.
Speak less, smile more. I think that's what it is.
Anyway, so
go ahead, man.
No, you're fine. I'm like I said, I just went off a tangent. You got to wheel me back in.
I think we're coming up at the top here. Let's talk about your three points, the closing vision, because I think AI is not a one episode show. I think we should focus in on others, and we have a plan for that. But today, let's get your closing remarks on the three things that you take away from today's show.
Well, the three things I take away is first things first is get literate. Where you want to lean in, pick something, right? Don't try to boil the ocean. Just pick something that you want to, reduce the time, whether it's your inbox, whether it's meetings, whether it's, putting, documentation together. I definitely think the email thing is something that's crushing a lot of people. So I would say that would be a good way to start, but pick the thing that you want to try to figure out to make better, faster, more efficient. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
Then you have to do, and I mean, you really should be figuring out if you're going to do this and you're in a corporate environment, you got to think about the 3 Ps, right? The people, yourself, the people, permission, and privacy of what it is that you're going to use and how's it going to integrate and what is it going to touch. That's critical. That is the guardrail. That is the governance piece. And to your point, like some of the applications, your company may not let you use it. So the question is, Okay, well then what can I use? What is an acceptable product? What would the company recommend? And if you're not asking that, then they're not going to they're not going to ever tell you anything. They're just going to leave you to your own devices. But they should be looking and pushing things. I've heard stories. I haven't looked at Salesforce in a while, but Salesforce has really gone in head first
Oh
with
God,
AI,
yeah, yeah, for sure.
offering a lot of those capabilities
Yeah.
to do those things, right? By the way, if your company has Zoom, your Zoom meeting notes, I mean, you could do some things I just shared earlier about, getting more data. You can have it go back and tweak the and get it to give you more data, more data, more follow, more action. So getting back to it, it's one, figure out where you want to focus and what you want to do. Two is understand what that's going to do with the three P's, right? Your governance and guardrails. And then third is just take baby steps, but also measure
Hmm.
and what you're doing so that
Yeah.
you can see if it is actually having an impact.
Yeah.
Because here's the bottom line, John. AI is not necessarily going to replace channel leaders,
Mm-mm.
but the channel leaders that are using AI will replace you.
Sure. Look, you still have to be present in front of your partners. There's still a very human element of what we do, but AI helps you do your job better, right? And that's the bottom line. So, look, my one takeaway is embrace it, learn it. It's going to make you better, and that's the basis of our show. We want to help you guys be better at what you do, right? And get better at your jobs and advance, advance
Yep.
in your career. So,
Well, think of it this way, John. The automation that you get from AI powered
mhm,
ecosystems
mhm.
are faster than any human could actually ever deliver.
Yeah, yeah,
But I'll use the old saying, shit in is shit out. So if you're not managing what's going in and what's coming out, right, and it's going to make you a more intelligent, executable partner manager, channel manager by leveraging it,
yeah,
right?
for sure.
So
No, I agree. And that's a great way to end it. I think this is an amazing show. We definitely have other chapters in the AI, book to talk about. But for today, we'll end it here. And you guys know where to get a hold of us: channelsurfers.com, Jeff at channelsurfers.com, John at channelsurfers.com, and then our LinkedIn page, which is amazing because we post every Tuesday the show that will be out that day, and Jeff does a great job of detailing that. And then there's the shorts that he puts on YouTube and LinkedIn, and yeah, the shorts are great. But yeah, feel free to reach out to us at our website. You can contact us to ask a question or request to be a guest. Love to have you on.
to have you,
And
man.
until then, Jeff, another great show, and I thank you for being a part of this.
Awesome, John. Thank you, man. Always a pleasure. Like I said, it's highlight of my days, and totally
For
enjoy
sure,
this. So thank you.
for sure. Good deal. Thanks,
Awesome, man.
everybody.
Take care.